everybody? Welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I'm going on a trip tomorrow and going to be gone for until Sunday, so there's not going to be any post-game recaps for a minute, so this is your last one for a minute. Subscribe to this channel if you are not already, but half the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you fall in that 50%, then subscribe. Seriously, like, so many people get these videos recommended from my main channel, so if you're subscribed to my main channel and you're constantly clicking on these videos, just subscribe to this channel too. Also drop a like on this video, it is much appreciated. So as for the games that I watched today, I watched Celtics versus Sixers, Bulls versus Pacers, Warriors versus Bucks. I kind of spit up on myself, I hope nobody saw that, and Clippers versus Blazers. So, first I'm going to talk about the Bulls game just to get that one out of the way. The Pacers did not have Sabonis or Brogdon, so this was supposed to be a pretty easy game, and for the most part, it was a pretty easy game. Now, I would have liked it if it was an outright blowout, but it hasn't. It was not. Now, one thing I'm worried about, and I just want to point to a few things about the Bulls, is that Zach has yet to have a good game. He had an okay game, but just not a good game yet with Vucevic. Now, a lot of this is injury. His jump shot just does not look right. He's not getting the proper elevation on it, and it almost seems like he's overcompensating on the elevation sometimes. And his jumper just overall looks unnatural and it's not dropping. He was 4 for 12 from 3 this game, and the fact he only shot 6 shots inside the perimeter to begin with, like he was not. It was not like he was happy to go downhill all the time, even though he did get a nice dunk. He's a little bit off, and I understand injury is a part of it, but also like he seems a little bit timid and like he doesn't want to force offense when he has Vucevic in the game. Speaking of Vooch, he had 32, 17, and 5 assists. He was very good from 3 in this game. Also, I do want to say both Lowry and Kobe White were great off of the bench in this game. Two guys I'm incredibly critical of. I'm going to acknowledge when they have good games. Lowry did a good job of just not interrupting the offense at all and getting his offense within the flow. He was 5 for 7. Kobe White actually created a good amount of opportunities for himself, hit some clutch shots. Not clutch, but like late buzzer shots. I think he had 2 pull-up mid-range shots like right at the shot clock. So yeah, it was a good game from him. Troy Brown played great defense, and I do want to say for the rotations here, 3.5 minutes of Denzel Valentine and 1 minute and 20 seconds of Ryan Arcidiacono, and 1 minute and 20 seconds for Ryan as well as Denzel were in garbage time. So fantastic rotations this time around from the man himself, Billy Donovan. No more Denzel. Troy Brown clearly getting all of his minutes at that point, so that's nice to see. And on the Pacer side of things, Karis LeVert brought out a couple of pretty fucking nice moves in this game, and if I had to guess, this was at least one of his best games as a Pacer because he hasn't been great thus far. And Miles Turner played good when he played, but then he had an injury, so he didn't play a whole lot, so that was that. And the Bulls ended up winning by 16. They had like a 25-point lead at some points, and then the Pacers went on some runs. They played relatively well for what they had, but not enough. Celtics versus Sixers. So I was going to focus this video on the Warriors. I think I'm going to do it another day whenever they lose the game. Like half the time I'm like, I want to talk about this negative with the team, but then they lost or then they won. And I don't want to be like the guy who right after a win is like, they have all these problems. Like, I understand that's, it's not like as soon as you win, the problems disappear, but I don't want to like hammer home that on a team that just got a close win. But Celtics versus Sixers. So this ended up looking closer than it actually was. It's only a 10-point game in the final, but it is a 20-plus point game for a good chunk of this one, and is a pretty pathetic effort on the Celtics side of things once more. But specifically, it was a bad game from Jayson Tatum. He was better to close like the second half. In the first half, he was like 2 for 14, I think it was. Yeah, that was real bad. I guess or not 2 for 14. He was like 2 for I think 10. I don't know where I got 2 for 14 from. I think I was looking at Kemba Walker's box score. He was 6 for 14, and I believe he came back. He had some sort of injury, but he came back. I guess Robert Williams got hurt too. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, Tatum, I have a video that I'm going to be doing on the Celtics that's coming out relatively soon. But Tatum has this issue where he kind of just doesn't seem that engaged in the game sometimes, and he's not aggressive with his scoring. He'll still take shots, but he's not taking shots that are like, clearly this guy is going after it, if you know what I mean. Like, he's not going to aggressively drive. He's not doing a bunch of fancy moves to create space. Like, he'll just resort to doing one of his sidestep jump shots, and it's like, look, he's good at that shot, but a lot of the times it seems like he's settling, and There are people that say Tatum has bad shot selection. I wouldn't say he necessarily does. It's just he can get better shots. He just doesn't really try to, which I guess is not the best shot selection. Like, it's still not good, but like, he's taking shots he can make. It's just he's not living up to his offensive potential. He's not being aggressive the percentage of time that you would like him to be, and that's a huge issue with him. And I notice it's spilled over to the Celtics in general. And Brad Stevens, I'm basically just spoiling the whole fucking Celtics video, but Brad Stevens had some comments that was like, where we've built a reputation of being that team that just falls asleep for 12 minutes, and that's not a good thing, obviously. And that was a thing that existed with Tatum last year that I talked about, but now it's just the whole fucking team does this, and that's one of the biggest reasons why they suck this year. I didn't even realize Robert Williams, I guess he got hurt because he's been doing really good lately. I hadn't been watching the Celtics, and I wanted to focus on him. He didn't do much in the time that I watched, and then I guess I just didn't notice that he wasn't playing anymore. Then if we can talk about, real quick, Clippers versus Blazers. This game, it was pretty simple. Paul George could not miss. Damian Lillard could not make a fucking shot to save his life, which is a little funny, being that those two guys have the history, I guess you could say, that they do. Paul George, 6 for 9 from 3. Nice. 11 for 18 from the field. Kawhi had a good game himself. And the Clippers pretty much had a grasp on this one the whole way through. It was like a 70-plus point game at the half for the Clippers. It was actually a 10-point deficit, but like there was a point when it was like a 30-point deficit, and the Blazers made a comeback. To be fair to the Blazers in general, CJ as well as Norman Powell played extraordinarily well, which semi made up for the fact that Dame was 2 for 14, but you know, that can only take you so far, and they lost this game as a result. Also, defense by the Blazers is so bad. Like, it's so bad. I think I have a video from like a couple of weeks ago where I'm like, the Blazers could be a real team, but like at a certain point, I don't care how good your offense is, you can't have that bad of a defense. And that was the argument against the Nets being a championship team before their defense started to improve. But like, the Blazers are not even half as talented as the Nets. So if we're making that argument about the Nets, then the Blazers, that's real concerning. And I just continue to be concerned about the destiny of Damian Lillard on that team and what their future is. But yeah, that's that. Clippers side of things, they played well. Also, this is the first game that I've seen Rondo play. I don't know if he's played before this. I don't think he has, but there's a chance he did. And then also DeMarcus Cousins, who's on a 10-day contract with this team. He played well in his brief period. He got a mid-range jump shot I saw, and then he got to the line a couple of times but missed it. And then Rondo really didn't do anything in the brief amount of time that he played. So yeah. Also, Reggie Jackson. Reggie has a tendency to do too much sometimes, but then also sometimes it works. Like, Reggie is bound to have like a 20-point game once every, like, I don't know, 6 games or so, and sometimes he'll overshoot to the point where his value is not really there, but sometimes the shots go in, and it's nice to see when that happens. And he can almost kind of step into a Lou Williams role in that regard, even though he's not half the shot creator that Lou Will is, at least in theory. Then if we can talk about finally Warriors versus Bucks. Like I said, I have some issues with the Warriors. Well, there's a lot of issues with the Warriors, and I'm going to talk about it eventually. I'm probably going to save it for a post-game recap where the Warriors lose, just because I don't want to be the fucking Debbie Downer. This game was an absolute carry job by Steph, as pretty much every Warriors win tends to be. This game, Andrew Wiggins played like shit, and he has been really good for the Warriors this year. Like, I want to be clear on that, even though, yeah, Andrew Wiggins is still a fucking bust because he was expected to be a superstar, and he's just a really good role player. Being a not bad player anymore does not mean he's not a bust, but he was usually good, not good this game. Missed a game-winning 3-point attempt, although the Warriors obviously didn't end up winning this one. Steph, damn, he was 14 for 21. He just was not fucking missing, and he has a tailbone issue. I saw someone on Twitter say Steph did this on a broken ass. it was funny. Because he kind of did. Kent Bazemore also was really good in this one. Draymond Green did the typical Draymond Green thing where he does not stand out too much in the box score, but he was very impactful. In the Milwaukee side of things, what makes this game kind of sad, though, is the Bucks were not playing with Giannis. It was Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday that were doing the damage in this game. Bobby Portis, who I praise every time I talk about the Bucks, he was pretty solid in this one as well. And yeah, Jeff Teague also. I didn't realize Jeff Teague had this good of a game. Look at that. But this game, it was really the Bucks are just figuring out a way to score pretty much every time, and then of course those guys being as good as they are, creating their own offense. But like Warriors defense was just not as good as you would like, especially being that they're not that great offensively. The Bucks like scoring 120 points without Giannis, like that's not good. And being that they have the perimeter defense they have, that's especially not good. And on top of that, it's just, I mean, I've seen them. I've seen metrics that are like the Warriors are like one of the 5 worst offenses of all time without Steph on the floor. It really is just a major, major, major carry job, and I really hate watching the Warriors half the time because like I love watching Steph go off, but I hate watching it be literally just Steph going off because when he is off of the floor, the Warriors are painful to watch. On the Bucks side of things, I guess I can talk about how this game ended because it was interesting. There was a goaltending call on Brook Lopez. I wonder if that was controversial. I didn't look at Twitter today, and normally I'm all over Twitter, but I wasn't really today. And it wasn't. It was like it's one of those ones where it didn't hit the glass, but it was like kind of on the way down. But I think it's debatable if it was on the way down. That one's a lot. That type of goaltending call is a lot more tricky than a typical one. So I could see both sides of it. It ended up making a difference. Then it was a 1-point game. The Bucks have an opportunity. I don't remember who shot it. I think it was Pat Connaughton. It was short, and then basically it fell into 2 Warriors players as well as Drew Holiday, and it got tipped around, and then suddenly it bounced to Drew Holiday, who just laid it right up with no defenders around him. So that was real unfortunate. But then the Warriors on the other end, they got another opportunity. I think, Andrew Wiggins missed that 3. Offensive rebound, Kelly Oubre got fouled by Brook Lopez, so Brook Lopez making a mistake once again, and then he made both of the free throws. And then the final possession was kind of fucking sloppy for the Bucks. I'm going to read it out just to make sure I don't miss any details, but I want to get, let me see here. Timeout. So Middleton got a 3-pointer with like 2 defenders on him, like 3 feet behind the line. Not the best shot in the world. Pat Connaughton went up with the offensive rebound, and it looked like he got pushed, and you could have argued there was a foul there, but I guess not. And then the Bucks got like Brook Lopez like tipped it around, and then Chris Middleton would have had a wide open layup, but the shot clock or the game clock had expired at that point, which was like if there was just half a second left on the clock, that would have been an amazing play. But there wasn't, so Bucks lose this one. I don't have much to say about the Bucks because, like, you don't have Giannis. I'm not really too concerned about what you can do without him because that team is built entirely around him. So, a relatively good game, all things considered. And then the Warriors, carry job by Steph, but Steph is awesome, so we can do it a little bit. Yeah, that's all I really had to say. Nothing too crazy happened today in general from the games that I watched, that is. I might have missed something otherwise, but for the most part, it looks like these are pretty big differences in wins. So, yeah, that's it. Goodbye.